I feel like most people these days have a bit of an issue. Sorry, I'm taking my shirt off. I feel like most people these days have a bit of an issue about saying no to things. I think there's just so much that people want to do, people feel like they need to do. People are made to feel maybe that they need to have a really great social life, a really great relationship, a really great family life, as well as having careers and degrees, and also to be able to have the perfect home. There's just so much pressure for you to have everything in life, and I feel like that is impossible. It is completely not realistic, and nobody can have everything. You can't have everything being completely perfect. And it's just something that I think people portray, that they have this perfect life and nobody has it, and people feel rubbish about not having it, and people feel like everybody else has it. That's why I think people find it so hard to say no to things, because I think when people say no to things, they feel like they're saying no to an opportunity, and they're saying no to something that could really benefit their life, or they're saying no to friends which they find difficult, or career opportunities, and sometimes it's very necessary to be able to say no. I know I struggle with saying no. People with anxiety, I think, probably find it harder to say no to things, because everything with anxiety is a massive dilemma, I feel. I decided to make a video today on how to say no to things and why it's important to say no. The first thing I would say is think of what the request is asking. So let's say it's a friend asking you to go out for lunch. What is the request actually asking you? Is it asking you to do something you don't want to do? Is it asking you to do something that you can't do, you're busy? Or is it asking you to do something that would push your personal boundaries? Try and figure out why you want to say no to the situation, if it's a good idea to say no to it, and really think and be honest with yourself. If you think it's something that you shouldn't do, whether it's because it's just too much, it's too overwhelming, or because you're too busy, or because you just don't want to do it, they're all perfectly valid reasons, and just kind of be more familiar with what the person's actually asking of you. The second thing is to be honest about why you're saying no. I feel like it's far easier to tell the person that's asking something of you, it's far easier to tell them why you're actually saying no. Whether it's that your boss wants you to do more hours, or your friend wants to meet up with you, or a great opportunity has come up and it's just the wrong time for you to be able to take that opportunity. When you're like saying no, when you're declining the request, it's just so important for you to be able to say no, and this is why. Don't feel bad, don't feel guilty. It's just 100% you looking after yourself, and you need to look after yourself. If you're constantly working, constantly seeing friends, constantly doing things that you feel like you're burning out, you're never going to be doing these things well. If you're doing 90 hours a week, you're not going to be doing all those 90 hours well. You're going to be exhausted, and your body's not going to like it, and you're going to end up feeling really burnt out and just completely exhausted, and that you can't do any hours the next week. It's really important to look after yourself and know what you're capable of, and just be honest about why you're saying no. I've had this experience with friends before, and I've thought like, oh, what can I say to tell them that I can't come? And eventually I've just been like, I've texted them and said, listen, I can't come because my anxiety is too bad, and I feel like it'll just overwhelm me if I come, and I'm just not ready to do that. And I think 100% of the time people have been okay with that, and people have just gotten over it. It's not something that, you know your own body and your own mind better than anybody else does, and nobody can tell you that you're wrong. It's just how you feel, and it's just important for you to be able to stay true to that feeling. Thirdly, I'd say maybe set some personal boundaries. I used to constantly feel like I had to be out every day, I had to be doing something productive every single day. I had to work more, I had to go to college more, and I felt like if I didn't do all these things then I'd be failing in some way. I also felt like my social circle was really important to keep, and it was really important to have a great relationship with my partner and my family, and I just felt completely like I didn't have enough time. And so what I found really helpful is knowing what I'm capable of and knowing what's going to overwhelm me. So I've decided that I can only do 3 shifts a week at my job. I know that if I kind of go over that, I will start to feel really overwhelmed and unable to cope and start to feel very anxious, and so I know that's my personal boundary, and if I get asked to do more shifts at work, then I have to just decline, because I know my personal boundaries. You could do this with any part of your life that you're feeling overwhelmed with, whether it's socialising. Say to yourself, okay, I know that I'm only able to socialise twice a week, or whatever your number is. I'm going to set that personal boundary, and so I know if somebody asks me to do more than that, I'm not ready for that. It's just much easier to be able to have a kind of clear image of what you are ready for and what your boundaries are. Also, you can break your own boundaries. It's okay if you feel like there's one week that you want to work 5 days a week, then that's also okay. But kind of having a clear thing that you know how you feel about a certain situation. And finally, remember, saying no doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you a bad friend. It doesn't make you lazy. It doesn't mean that you're never going to get the opportunity again. It just means you know what you're ready for at the moment. You know what's best for you at the moment. This also could be that you're not ready to socialise at all. It could also be that you're not ready to work at all. There's just taking the pressure off of yourself, because I think the biggest person that gives us the most pressure in our lives is ourselves. Constantly saying, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing this, you're failing at life if you don't do this. It's actually us that's really making ourselves feel so pressured, and it's not the request that's making us feel like we have to do something. It's ourselves saying, oh, they've asked me to do that and now I have to do it. Of course you don't. Only you know your own personal boundaries, only you know what you should be saying yes and no to. If there's ever a request and you feel like you're saying yes because you should say yes, then it's definitely not something you should be doing. Basically, it's just important to be able to find your own boundaries, know what works best for you, and just say no to everything else, and just know that you are doing it because you need to take care of yourself. It's just self-care, but it's just quite tricky, and it's very difficult to start saying no. I feel like I think it's something that you need to practice at first, and just be honest about why you're unable to do whatever it is somebody's asking you to do. And I know it's pretty difficult at the beginning, but it does get much easier. I hope some of you found this video helpful, and I hope that you can start to think about the kind of things that you're doing in your life, and if there's anything that you feel like you shouldn't be doing, then stop doing it, and it's important that you do that. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you soon.